So here we are, I think it's September 29th of 2020, the big year of COVID-19. Anyway, I built this house, we moved in 20 years ago, 1999, so I guess it's been 21 years. And I thought it would be nice to have this decorative wood for my portal. But now I'm finding out that I've got some wood rot. And you can see up there where I've been working on it with this stuff called wood epoxy. I'm just kind of showing now how I found this. After I fixed this spot over here, which was the same way. You could tell it was hollow in this area. After I fixed it, well, then I just started tapping along here. When I got to about right here, I thought, that's hollow. I don't know if you can see my pencil marks. I made a pencil mark right there. And I made a pencil mark right over here going up. That was the area I thought sounded hollow. So then I got my drill out and I drilled those holes and found out, yeah, it is hollow. So then I got my tool, which I can cut in there. And sure enough, for about the first ½ inch, it's nice and solid. But then after I get past that ½ inch, it just plunges all the way in. So I'm going to try to take this out. I want to save it so I can put it back. Similar to the way I did over here. I put these pieces back. And I've got some more sanding to do. But you can see where I cut it here to there. And then I also cut it up here. And this is solid up here, but it was hollow there. So I'm going to keep going here. I'm going to put it on pause. I had a hard time getting this piece out of there, but you can see now I've taken it out. I had to start sawing here because it wouldn't come out. But I started sawing there, and then when I went to withdraw my tool, it started to pull loose. And it looked just like that there when I finally got my tool out. So then I was able to pull it completely loose, and that's the way it looks. And I think the problem is right here. That crack right there goes down. It doesn't go up, it goes down. So I think the water drained in there. You can see the drip marks right here. Over 20 years of it, it looks like it's coming down, like it would drain out of there, but apparently back here in the back, it went down. And it got in there, got that all wet. And over 20 years of this happening, apparently it rotted out. So I'm going to clean all the loose stuff out of there and then replace it with epoxy and wood. I'm going to pause it now. So I'm just going to take everything. There was quite a bit of loose stuff back in there. I might end up having to cut some more back here. And so I can get to that better. But I'm just taking all of the loose stuff out of there. And I'm going to replace it with solid, packed in epoxy. And because that epoxy is kind of expensive, I'm going to probably end up cutting some solid pieces of wood to put in here. I'll put the epoxy and then I'll mash the solid pieces of wood into the epoxy. So I'm just going to knock off all the loose stuff. Then I'll start measuring and cutting some wood to put in there, some nice solid pieces of wood. And then I'll mix up the epoxy, put it in there, and mash the solid pieces of wood into it. I'm going to pause it again. So I've got a long screwdriver here, and up here, that sounds solid. all the way across. But right there, that's hollow. So you can see I made a mark here. I might not be able to cut that all out as one piece. I might have to cut it here. Anyway, I'm going to get my plunge electric power tool. And it's over here. Multi-function tool. It oscillates. And this is a plunge blade that I've got on there. So I just turned it on. Kind of hard to do with one hand. Hopefully I got some of that on film. But I'm just going to keep going along that line that I made there and cut that whole piece out. That's how I cut this one here out. Okay, so I cut those two pieces out there. And you can see that's pretty solid wood right there. I had a hard time cutting through it. It's not rotted. But I've been scraping that stuff back behind it out. And you can see this cut right here was into pretty solid wood right there. And this part down here. So from there on back, it sounds pretty solid. And I just keep scraping this, all the loose stuff out of there. And then they've got this liquid stuff that's called wood petrifier. That they say that you can put on rotted wood and it will rejuvenate it, make it solid again. So once I get all the loose stuff out of here, I will brush that stuff on here. And they say it's best if you let it sit for 24 hours. And this spot over here goes back in there a ways, so I've decided I've made a mark here where I'm going to cut it. Cut that out, and then hopefully it's fairly solid from here back, but we'll see after I get it out. Okay, so I've knocked all the loose stuff out of there, and you can see I've got quite a hole to fill in. So I estimate it's going to take 9 quarts to fill this big void. And you can buy 3 quarts for $76. Actually $80 including tax. So 3 times 80 is $240 for the epoxy just to fill in that void. And that's a lot of money. So I'm going to cut little pieces of wood and I'm going to mash that wood into the epoxy so that I have epoxy and wood combination to fill that void, to kind of minimize my cost. There's a product that they sell called wood petrifier, and you brush it on rotted wood to solidify it. And I'm going to brush that on there, give it 24 hours to set up, and then I'm going to mix up the epoxy and mash it all over that old wood with the PC petrifier on there, and then I'm going to mash the wood into it. That's my plan. Okay, so I'm getting ready to mix some of this stuff up and then put it in there. I've bought 2 different kinds. This one here is more expensive, wood epox. And this is the 1 quart container of part A. And it's almost empty. So then I ended up buying this, which is Fixture Things PC Woody. and this is 1.5 quarts. And like I say, these 2 quarts of wood epox cost pretty close to $70. And this 1.5 quarts is oh, I don't remember. I think $90, $85, somewhere in that area. Anyway, so that's part A there, and that's part A there. I got part B of the wood box inside of there. It's got a dot on it. I just got through taking this one here. That's the way it looks down inside of there. It's white. And part B is kind of a tannish colored. This is part B. And I've got the white one and the tan one in this container, approximately the same amounts. I don't try to make it exactly perfect. I just try to get it eyeball where it looks about the same amount, and then start mixing it up with a putty knife. So I'm going to put the lid back on this one and start mixing, and it will come out kind of tannish colored. And that's how you can tell it's kind of uniformly mixed when you no longer see any more white or dark tan. So it's going to come out a light tan. And this will be the last video I take until after I've put all this inside that cavity that I showed earlier, and then mash the pieces of wood in there. And then once I get my hands and everything all cleaned up, I'll try to take some video of that, of what it looks like. Okay, so I finally got my stuff cleaned up. And one of the things that's really good for cleanup is this acetone. Okay, so I'm back up here now. And you can see that the stuff is tannish white. And those are my little pieces of wood in there. You see that little piece there, little piece there, little piece there. I think I got double pieces behind that, all that epoxy there. So I put the epoxy kind of like right up here's nothing but epoxy. I haven't got little pieces of wood there. So I put all the epoxy all over that old wood. And I didn't get any right back there, I guess. Anyway, put it all over it. And I think I should put this thing on pause and go get my rubber gloves on and kind of smooth some of this out. Because you can see this right here just hanging down. Well, I want to put that piece back in there, so I don't want that hanging down and getting solid on me. I could probably chip it off with a chisel later on, but I kind of need to clean some of this up so that it'll all go back together a little bit better. I'm going to pause it. Okay, so I have paused the video because I had the camera way too close to the work here. But you can see those curlicues hanging down from the old wood. And that's where I want to put the old pieces I cut out back in. So what I want to do is I want to clean that up the best I can so that later on I can put those pieces of wood that I cut out back in there. I should also add that I did put the PC woody product called wood petrifier on all of that old wood inside the cavity so that the epoxy would have something good to adhere to. I knocked all the loose pieces off, and then I liberally brushed on that wood petrifier. Also on the pieces that I'm going to put back in there, I knocked all the loose wood off of them, and I also put the wood petrifier on the back side of the pieces that I'm going to end up putting back in there. So the epoxy will have something pretty good to adhere to. I'm going to resume the video. So I've run out of time for this video, and this concludes part 1. If you want to see how I finish up this project, go to part 2. I'll have a link in the description.